Hello everyone, Auvbri here and welcome back to another speed build in The Sims 4. So today we are doing a castle, a deserted castle, as you might have seen from the title of this video. So the deal with this house building video, if you can actually call it that, is that I'm not actually going to do any interior work in this build. I'm only going to do exterior work, and the reason for this is I didn't actually, to be honest, 100% honesty here, I didn't want to do exterior. I wanted to build a really beautiful castle from the outside, and I wanted it to have like this deserted vibe, so that it actually felt like that it had been abandoned at a not so recent point in time, and that's why I chose to do this. I didn't do any interior at all in this build, so you're not gonna find any interior work here. You can obviously do it yourself, and maybe in a future speed build I am actually going to decide to that that I want to do the interior for this build, but as of now I'm not gonna do any interior at all on this. And it actually took quite a long time just to do the exterior of this build. It actually took 2.5 hours, a little over 2.5 hours, and it was just very tedious work, actually. But it paid off. It was a lot of tedious work, but it paid off in the end, and I'm super happy about how it turned out. And I hope you guys like it as well. So yeah, we're just doing the general shape of the castle here, and I'm playing around a lot in this build with how I want things to look, and it changes color, and it changes how the feel is and how it actually looks and stuff like that. But the overall theme of this castle has always remained the same, that I wanted it to look super beautiful and very castle-like, and still have that deserted vibe. And once we get further into the build, that is also something you're going to see, the desertedness of it. So we have a lot of towers in this build as well. I don't know why, but in my mind, that just, when I think of a castle, a tower is what comes to mind for me. So that's what I did. And a nice, beautiful roof here. A very tall roof, but I'm super happy about how it turned out. And we do some stuff with the roofing as well. So there's a lot of decoration going on around this place, as well as, just the general decorational items. I actually decided to go full on decorational? Is that a word? I decided to go full on with the decorations of this build, and I decided to, try to keep it, I don't know, a bit medieval, but also kind of keep the feel that it's not a super medieval castle, but maybe it's a bit more to the, I wouldn't say modern, but a bit closer to modern day castle like, instead of it being like super, super medieval. And I decided to have the castle be in the middle of this, so it's kind of like the castle is made on top of a mountain. And when I actually start to put in the rocks around the place, I don't know what it is with my builds and rocks lately, but I'm just super into it. But yeah, so when we start doing the rocks all over the place, I tried to make it look like that it was actually carved somewhat out of the mountain, and kind of have like this valley going around it down below, and I think it looks pretty awesome. So the color that we have here was my initial thought that, you know what, this is what I'm gonna go for. This looks very cool. I actually did like this, the way that the stones looked. But I decided to change it. But for now, we have like this stone theme. We're still gonna have stone later on, but for now it's just not there yet. But the white trims is something that's going to stay there, and we're going to, as I actually, look at this build now, it's kind of weird to see how much it evolved, because usually when I set out to do a build, it is completely planned out, and down to the smallest points. Sometimes I like to do builds where I just kind of wing it and kind of do what I feel like at that moment. But this castle was kind of a weird mix between the two of them. So I knew I wanted to build a castle. I kind of have the idea of what it was going to look like, but I didn't have a general plan of how I was going to execute said castle and how I was actually going to get from point A to point B. When building this. This was kind of like a mix between having the idea and knowing what it was going to look like, but also kind of winging it and add a lot of stuff that maybe wouldn't have been implemented if I didn't do that. So that's kind of what I did here. So I decided to also do a little garden in the back here, and this also changed a bit. I tried to do a staple kind of thing here, but it just didn't work because the walls were so high up that it just didn't look right. And I don't know why, but I feel like in the beginning you could kind of place columns where you wanted, so you could hold down the Alt key and move them freely on the grid. But you cannot do that. I just feel like you could do that at some point. I don't know if it's just me. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like you could do that at some point, and it's actually quite annoying that they are sticking to the grid. So, yeah, that's just the way it is. So I decided to do this little lake thing, kind of mimicking the way that the water would go. So kind of have like this little lake that is in the valley but a bit higher up, and in the end I'm also going to do a fake lake, because you can actually not have a pool or a fountain on the lowest level. So if you have, like I have here, if you have 2 basements down, you cannot build any further down than that. So you cannot do a pool, so that would reach down to the 3rd basement level. That's simply not possible. So that was kind of annoying, but I made it work, and I think it looks pretty awesome in the end. And if you don't look too close, you're not actually going to notice that it's not a real lake. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So here comes the tedious work. And I feel like I've been in this position a lot before with this tedious work of placing rocks. It took forever, and this video is actually sped up by 550. 550. I don't know what that amounts to in real life, but in Adobe Premiere Pro, it starts at like 100%. So I guess it's like 5.5 times the amount of speed that it actually took to do. And I tried not to speed it up too much more than that, because I do know people have been saying that it's a bit too fast and they kind of start to feel dizzy, and I totally get that. I guess I've just watched so many speed builds that I just kind of don't notice it anymore. But I want to keep you guys happy as well. So I try to not speed it up too much. So here we're actually working on the rock side still, but I decided to have this part of the castle kind of resting on the rocks, so you kind of see the rock side go out a bit and actually support those pillars, or kind of this wall that goes out over the valley. And I thought that was a cool idea to kind of make these supports from rocks instead of having actual supports hold it up. So yeah, I thought that was a cool idea. I'm sorry if I sound a bit tired, but I have the craziest headache. I was at a birthday party last night for my parents, and wine was involved. So I have a headache, but it was a crazy good birthday, and I love my parents, and it was super nice to have a family dinner in a restaurant. It was super cozy, super chill, and I had a great time. But I just feel like I don't feel that well today. I have a crazy headache, so that's kind of annoying. But don't drink, or at least drink responsibly. So keep that in mind. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm a little less talkative. Talkative, is that a word? Talkative. Today, and also just because this bit is just, I actually wanted to cut this out initially, but I do know that most of you guys actually like to see what's going on. And as you can see, the castle still has like this very dark tone to it. So it's kind of like this brownish, grayish color to the stones. And initially, I actually like that. I like that a lot. But then I tried to change the color, and we're going to do that in a little bit. But yeah, this work is just super tedious, and it took forever. I'm not even gonna lie. This is the worst part when I decide to make something that has to mimic the way of a mountain, and also just because I have found out throughout my builds that using these to create fake mountain sides and stuff like that actually works a lot better than using the actual rocks. Just because if you have seen my Asian mountain build, in that build I had a lot of problems with rocks disappearing after I scaled them up, and this doesn't actually happen here because this is objects that I don't know why, but I guess it's because these are objects that your sim can use, and the other ones are decorations. So it was kind of like with these other rocks, if you moved them to a certain point, for example into the wall here, they would disappear, and it was just annoying. And I decided to just go with these, and it actually looks pretty good. I like how it looks, and it looks like a genuine rock side, cliffside thing. So it's not like it looks super unrealistic, but it's just super tedious work. And if I had to do it with the other rocks, the normal rocks, it would just take so much longer. So here we created the fake river going into the valley that we have down below here. I'm gonna decorate it so it actually looks like a river. I'm gonna put in different kinds of stuff so it actually doesn't look that fake, but for now it's just kind of a sketch that where I want the riverbank to go. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Here I was super annoyed with the rock side, and I was just like, oh, let's just scale it up to one big rock. That was super annoying, and at this point, I didn't want to do any more of this rock side. But then I took a little break, cut that out, and then I was just I came back and I was like, okay, so we need to do this probably. It still looks fairly decent, I would say. So here I decided to do this with plants, and I thought they looked pretty awesome. I have no idea what could be the case of this, but maybe like a rock side that was kind of covered in these, I'm not actually sure what those are called in English, like this wall plant, that starts like one little spot and then it just grows like crazy. Actually, I'm just gonna Google that real quick. Translate. Because I know what it's called in Danish. But what is it called in English? I have no idea. So let's see here. Guess there's no. It can't translate it. Well, that's weird. Well, you guys know what I mean. It's like this this really weird plant that just like if you put it into one. Oh, we've changed color on the castle. That's super cool. So yeah, this is the new color, and this is what we're gonna stick with, the white. And I just thought, what, the white color just brings out the castle so much more, and it looks so much better that it being white, and it actually complements these stones a lot better. So here I just chose all of the kind of, I wouldn't say medieval, but older looking windows that I could work with throughout this build. And still keep in mind, this is not a build that has any interior, at least not any interior that I made. You guys are free to do whatever you want with it. I placed some doors all around just to kind of make it look good, and windows all around the build as well. And you'll see that in the end, every screenshot I've taken from the outside. But yeah, this build is fully 100% with the outside in mind, and I didn't plan on doing any interior for this build. It was never the plan from the start. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But still, chose some windows here that look kind of medieval, but still looked, I don't know, kind of modern. And just worked around that. And I kind of figured that maybe the castle would go all the way down the one side of the mountain. As you can see that with the pool, they would kind of use like a fake little little lake. That was the word I was looking for. So I kind of figured that, and that's why there's windows all around the place. And then we just kind of decorated with flowers just to kind of make it look good and make it pop. And I thought these yellow flowers actually look pretty good, and we're actually gonna work off the yellow later in the build, because as you can see on these towers we have kind of like these windows that goes out. On the top of those windows there's like this little golden knob, and on the top of the roofings we also have like this spear. I don't know what to call it, like a spear thing that goes up, and we actually changed it to white, I can see now. But I'm also gonna change that to a gold color in the end, so everything kind of works together. And I'm super happy about how it turned out. And yeah, placing in some doors. Here I was looking for a door to the main entrance into the house. I wanted to have something that actually looked like it fit with the windows, and this was kind of the only door that actually worked for me. So yeah, and of course flags. We needed flags to the entrance of the castle. I didn't do like a normal entrance, like with the gate and stuff like that. I didn't feel like doing that, but here we changed everything to gold, and I'm super happy about how everything turned out here. Putting in some more of these spear thingies, and it's just taking shape now. And I know this is a super long video, trust me, I know that. I tried to keep it short, but still 500% or 5.5 times the normal speed this is sped up with. So it took about 2.5 hours to do this, and then I had to cut out some bits where I kind of left everything. But here we're working on the sides, and this is where it's gonna get interesting. Because as I said in the beginning, and as you can also see from the title of this build, this is a kind of deserted castle. And I wanted to mimic the vibe of having like a deserted castle. And I thought, you know what, if this castle were lived in, maybe it would have been managed a bit better, and all of these plants, which I can't remember what it's called, but all of these plants would have maybe not been so present on the build. You know, there would have been some, but maybe not so present as they is or are now. So yeah, I just decided to do this all over the build on the different turrets, and trying to make it look as realistic as it can look, and kind of mimic how it maybe would grow. So it doesn't actually grow in one pattern, but it actually, you know, waves and moves around, and doesn't actually have a specific pattern that it actually grows in. At least that's what I have seen in, you know, places here in Denmark where old building actually has like this plant all around. It's super annoying that I can't remember what it's called in English. I know what it's called, I just can't remember. And Google Translate doesn't seem to know what it is. So yeah, that's super annoying. But yeah, we're working on the, I want to call it town or castle. What should we call this? Kind of like the castle square, I guess, but it's not that big of a square, and it's never meant to be like, I kind of feel like maybe this castle would be like on the top of the mountain, and then the village could be like down below, maybe the mountain village. See, everything has a meaning, even though I just made that up. It still sounds pretty awesome that it could maybe be like that. But yeah, still working on the castle square here. And now that I think about it, a lot of the items that I used for this castle is actually items that I used for the mountain village as well. So that's pretty awesome. I didn't actually realize that until now. But yeah, we're still working on the castle square here. I decided to scale up this fountain just so I could have like these banners go to the middle. And as you can see, all of the items that I use is kind of like, looks overgrown. So the fountain doesn't actually work anymore because there's so many plants in it. And just a lot of overgrown stuff, but it's recently abandoned. So it maybe has stood there for, I don't know, like a year, maybe 2 years. So it still looks a bit managed, but not super managed. So we have a lot of ferns here, because in my mind, ferns are kind of like a weed. So they kind of grow everywhere that you don't want them to grow. So that's why I kind of used those to use as a overgrown method. So here we have the fake little river lake thing at the bottom of the, I keep calling this a valley because in my mind that's what it is. And I put in some turtles and stuff just to make it look a bit more realistic. Lots of trees, lots of pine trees down here. And you cannot actually go down into the valley. That was never the intention. And yeah, still working on a lot of decoration stuff just to make everything look realistic. And also this little river or little lake thing also needed to look realistic. Some trees in the background, and we're kind of finished. We jump into the screenshots here in a little bit. So yeah, here we have it. super happy about how this turned out. Remember, if you want to download this build to do with as you please, you can find me on the gallery by searching my origin ID, which is Auvbri. Should be able to find all of my stuff. Follow me on the gallery, and if you haven't already done that as well, subscribe to me here on YouTube. It could be super freaking awesome if we could reach 7,000 subs within the year. So before 2017, that could be super crazy. But yeah, just going through the last screenshots here. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, be sure to leave it a big like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I'm super happy to have all of you guys, and I really hope that you liked it, and have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world.